Thank you. If you haven't guessed by now, the name of this band is Blondie.
1975. 1975 was an easy one for me. I have the earliest video I have managed to find of one of my all-time favorite bands, which is the band Blondie. So Blondie released their first album in 1976. The video, if we believe the information that's on it, which I have no way to independently verify, August of 1975. The video contains no other information other than it is CBGB's in New York City. I can develop some context with some outside source material. Book by Debbie Harry that I read last year, and I forgot, a lot of the details, so I went back and got out of the library again. The early part of the book is unfortunately kind of thin on dates, but she does describe the early 70s, around 1975. Well, they were playing CBGBs by then. When they first started, it was Debbie Harry and Chris Stein, and then Gary Valentine, and then they added Clem Burke. She says when they added Clem Burke to the band. Very underrated rock drummer, in my opinion. And he is still one of the two original members that tours. Blondie toured last year. I've never seen them, and it is on my bucket list to do so. So there is a new album coming out hopefully this year. And if Debbie Harry plays anywhere in the world, I'm going to make an attempt to go and be a part of that. She's got it. She's in her late 70s, maybe in early 80s by now. All right, well, Clem Burke. Hanging out with the Ramones. Chris and I wrote some songs: Platinum Blonde, Rip Her to Shreds, Little Girl Lies, Giant Bats from Space, which later became Giant Ants. Just kept on playing and experimenting. After a while, we just called ourselves Blondie. Put an ad in the Village Voice looking for a rock drummer. 50 drummers, auditioned them all. Clem Burke was the last one, and he was the best one, and he's been in Blondie ever since. When Blondie started, the guys all had long hair. Chris had very long black hair and wore black eye makeup. Clem had long black wavy locks, and he wore a black leather jacket, jeans, and high tops. So they kind of look like the Ramones in this video, except for Debbie Harry, of course. She was in a band called the Stilettos for this, and before that, she was a Playboy bunny. Let's have a listen. Audio is not great, but you do get 19 whole minutes of 1975 Blondie before they had been professionally recorded and before anybody outside of that small part of New York City knew anything about them. It cuts in right in the middle of the song Heat Wave, which is a 1960 song recorded most famously, I think, by Martha and the Vandellas. There's Clem there. That would be Gary Valentine in the Notre Dame shirt. There's your very first look at the lovely Debbie Harry, one of my heroes. Doesn't she just have a star quality about her? I mean, obviously she looks different than she does now. This was, Spark is there 50 years ago. Just her stage presence is so distinctive, and it's remarkable. I can never get enough of watching Debbie Harry sing and perform. Yeah, you can clap now, everyone. All right, so there we see Chris Stein, also long-haired at the time, is playing a Les Paul. You will notice that he does not use a pick. He does finger picking stuff. Sometimes it's a little bit sloppy, but I think he's a really, actually super creative guitar player and pretty distinctive. And I think that's it. This was a 4-piece at the time. So Jimmy Destri, the keyboard player, and obviously the keyboards ended up becoming a huge part of the Blondie sound, even on their first album. But this is before that, not in the band yet. So he would not join until the fall of 1975. So you have a very raw, stripped down sounding Blondie. But this song, Man Overboard, this is a Debbie Harry credited song, and it ends up on the first album. There's 5 people in the audience. Oh my gosh. What's she doing?
1, 2, 3, 4.
All right, that is Little Girl Lies. It's also credited only to Debbie Harry.
By the Miamis.
Yeah, that was written by Jimmy from Miami.
Jimmy from the Miamis. I don't know what song that was.
Well, now we're gonna take it down a little bit, so you can have a little.
So they're obviously doing a mix of covers and originals. They had several of their hit songs, like "Hanging on the Telephone," and then there was like a Roy Orbison song or something. Like some of their bigger hit songs were actually covers. So they did a lot of covers. They obviously also wrote a ton of original music, but at this point, pre-album, pre-record contract, even pre-full band, it's really interesting to hear some of the songs on that first album in their raw form. That first album, hold on. The first album, just called Blondie, is I think it's the only one that I don't have from the 1970s Blondie now. I have Plastic Letters, album number 2. Date on this one is 77. Their huge breakout album, Parallel Lines, this is going to be 78. My favorite, Parallel Lines, is good. There's no knocking that one. But this is the album that did it for me. I was growing up. We had this on a cassette tape in the car when we lived overseas, and I listened to this thing hundreds of times. And this is 1979. Eat to the Beat. I've still got that tape somewhere. That's an important artifact. Auto American. I believe this one was around in our house. I remember the yellow border, but when I started listening to all this stuff again, I did not necessarily know every song. This has Tide is High on it, which was obviously one of their huge hits. This is when the wheels start to come off the bus for Blondie. It's actually got some pretty good music on it, but in that early part of their career, they peaked at Parallel Lines and Eat to the Beat, in my opinion. This album was one that my mom bought, which I've probably only listened to this a couple times, 1981. That's a Debbie Harry solo record, of which there are several. Not my favorite, but I also probably haven't listened to it in decades, so maybe I'll give it another chance. Anyway, grabbing Blondie's very first album was definitely on my list. Haven't done it yet. I got several of those off eBay for almost nothing, really. $10 or less in some cases. But the early pressings of the first album it's been tricky to find a good one for. I don't want to pay $30 or $40 for it just to have it, because honestly, I probably won't listen to the record that much. I don't know what this is. This is not ringing a bell. I often thought they, especially once Jimmy Destri gets in the band with the keyboards, like there's something that's very Doors-like about early Blondie. It sounds kind of like West Coast, Pacific, almost surf music with the organs, and there's like notes of Jim Morrison and the Doors in there too, in a weird way. Think about it, makes sense because that stuff would have been, that's a sound that was from 10 years earlier. It's the Doors mixed with the Vandellas and the Supremes and the Ramones. So maybe that's what new wave is. I don't know. Maybe Blondie fans would disagree with me, but I feel like I hear notes of that. And as their sound, all of their albums there's a lot of eclectic and mixture, and they're constantly bringing in things, whether it's hip hop, Caribbean, Latin, lots of different influences. But I feel like when they're kind of first finding their footing in the early 70s, there's a stronger kind of like Doors psychedelic rock thing going on there too. See if the song goes anywhere that
Thank you.
I feel stupid that it took me that long to place that song. That's why I've heard it before. It's a Velvet Underground song. Duh. All right. All right. I think we only get one more. That's too bad. Maybe that's from a later album. Maybe that doesn't show up till a later album. All right, best I can tell, the song is Lullaby, and it is an unreleased Blondie song. Here's somebody who has the same video here broken down, I guess. So I know I've heard it before. Maybe it was from this concert, or maybe it's from some other thing, but there you go. So it does not appear on an album. It sounded really super familiar, like it was one that I'd heard a lot.
Thank you. If you haven't guessed by now, the name of this band is Blondie.
And unfortunately, it cuts out there. That's too bad.
Pogo is it's a historic dance already, and I just heard from my friend Alan, who just came over on the boat, that it's out, it's over. So, just as a historic reference, the Pogo has been done like this. This is how it started with this thing.
I was looking for a recording or a video or anything of the Stilettos, which is the band that Debbie Harry was in Pre-Blondie. I'm reminded that she and other members of Blondie hung out and did this cable access television show back when cable was brand new, and it was called TV Party. There's references to that in various songs and videos and things. But they would just get on there with their friends and horse around for hours. Yeah, that would have been fun. All right. There has to be a picture of the Stilettos at least. There we go. So there's Debbie Harry there, and that would be Chris Stein in the middle. I don't know who these other people are. I don't know their name, but that is the group, the Stilettos. I'd be very disappointed if there are no recordings of the Stilettos. That's a later one. That's not Debbie Harry era Stilettos. 1974. All right, the audio is not matching up with the video there. The title says Rare 1974. This says 1973. So I don't know what the origin of this is. Stilettos, I'm not sure. Chris Stein on guitar, Fred Smith on bass, Debbie on vocals and visuals. What fun playing with them through 1974. Can someone help me remember the drummer's name here? He was a sweetheart. So this must be a Pre-Blondie thing. Anyway, so much good music over the years, but I'm going to stop there. When I first read Debbie Harry's book last year, I like taking books like that slow, and you know, they usually go in chronological order. So I would go slowly, listen to the music at night after I had read, you know, a chapter or whatever to try to understand when she had stories she wanted to tell about a certain song. Listen to it. It's fun for me. Puts a little bit of flesh on the bones. She's one of my favorite performers, and they are one of my favorite bands and have been with me since I became conscious of what music was in my preteen years. So love me some Blondie. They will probably show up again. There's a lot of late 70s, 80s stuff that I like. So it's going to be a crowded field. So we'll see if Blondie makes it in there again. I think they will. I have faith in you. I have faith in you, Debbie. All right. Thanks for hanging out with me. Have a good evening. Bye-bye.